experienceradio.com in the world of teens. Hey, I'm telling you, I'm always a student. I love to learn from the next generation. Sometimes the stuff that I be learning from them, I be like, oh my God, what's going on in this world? But it's always good. I'm always enlightened on some of the things that they talk about and different things like that. So we have Annabelle here. We've been talking about feelings. We talked about feelings and the
LGBTQ.
Thank you, LGBTQ plus community. And so now we're just going to talk about feelings among parents. You know, I grew up in the generation, and I'm sure it still happens, where I don't care about your feelings. You know, I don't care how you feel and all those different things like that. And so I kind of want to hear from Annabelle from her perspective of being a child or young adult. You're not a young adult yet. You're not in your 20s. A young lady. There we go. A young lady. Just her ideas of what, you know, some of her experiences in that way of the parents and feelings. Because I know it's different in different cultures. Like I know in the African community, because I'm real close to them. I dated a guy that was African, and I know that in that community, they don't care about your feelings.
You ain't a friend.
They don't care. I've seen them. They'll slap you in the face in front of your friend. It's just real hardcore. I remember one lady is an old grandma. She might have been like 80, and so it was actually this year, and so she's like, I guess I took too long in the program that I was doing, and she was like, I'm not bringing my kid back. You took too long. I was like, okay. So, but anyhow, so it's real. They real like say what's on their mind type thing. So, but anyhow, I want to see what Annabelle thinks about what's going on. Shout out to D Mel Kamara for joining. Appreciate you. Hey, again, we're live, experienceradio.com. We're talking about feelings. We're talking about feelings among parents. We just finished talking about feelings in the LGBTQ plus community. I got that right. Hey, Melvin, that's Melvin. Shout out to Melvin. He had a show here with experienceradio.com. Hey, man, glad that you are on. I hope you're doing well. All right, so go ahead. We're going to jump and give Annabelle the mic.
Well, my mom wasn't really a punishing mom growing up. It was really my stepdad. But my stepdad is Black, and so he has that way of parenting. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. But like, he's not one of my friends. Mm-hmm. Clearly, yeah. Make that real clear. Yeah. And so
that's the Black community. I'm not one of your little friends.
No, not at all. And so,
that's funny.
Yeah, I definitely grew up not getting a say in anything. Mm-hmm. Just and like, even if they ask you your opinion, if it's not the answer they want to hear, mm-hmm. it's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true.
Like, just what do you want for dinner? Oh well, I didn't feel like making that, so you're eating this instead. I just really grew up doing whatever they would tell you to do, mm-hmm. or you would get in a lot of trouble, and you didn't want to get in trouble because that would hurt.
Yeah.
So that's just how I grew up.
Yeah, yeah.
My mom and my stepdad are divorced, and I'm older now, and so normally I just talk to my siblings. My mom doesn't really do too much with me. Mm-hmm. Besides, like, we hang out sometimes, but, like, I don't really get punished. I'm a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
So, like, I also don't need to be punished. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I think it's a catch-22 because, again, when I was y'all's age, I was thinking, like, oh, my God, these parents, child ready to move. And, but I think it's a catch-22, too, I think, in certain aspects, especially in the Black culture, because it's so funny. It's like, I'm not one of your little friends, baby. I remember that. It's a meme on social media, I guess around my age group. It says, me and some of my cousins, we've shared it among each other. Y'all know in them group chats we be having. And it's a meme that said, when your mama said, I'm not one of your little friends, Now she wants you to do stuff with her, and now you can say, well, I'm not one of your little friends. It's funny, one of those things like that. But I think it's a catch-22. You know, I think I do think parents should hear their kids out, depending on what it is. You know, some things, whatever your parents say, it should go. I do agree with that. Some things I believe at a certain age and a certain maturity, if your child can handle it, then maybe it can be a conversation just for them to get a particular say. But at the same time, you have to know your child. So, you know, if your 15-year-old is not mature enough to handle conversations or express whatever they may be feeling in a healthy way, then I think moments like that, I think those are coachable moments. But then too, on the parents' end, parents are, not all, but you know, parents are working, they stressed out, they like, look, I don't have time to be dealing with your feelings, what you got going on. Got my own stuff going on. But I do think that's why you have to, parents and teens, and that's what we do with our program, the Talk Teens and Adults Acquire Lasting Knowledge. We help create an atmosphere. You have to be intentional with your kids. Parents, it's just not, oh, I provide for you, or I buy you food or clothes, or you know, shoes.
That's sort of what's necessary.
Yeah.
You're a parent. You signed up for that.
Exactly. And that is necessary, and it's definitely needed. But as a parent, like I tell parents all the time, your kids need your presence, PRESSENCE, more than your presence, PRESENTS. So you're constantly giving them things, then it's nothing wrong with that, but I don't care. You may feel hate from your teenager. You may be like, ooh, they don't like me, whatever. But I guarantee you, if you carve out intentional time. I remember talking to a parent about 2 years ago, and her daughter always had attitudes and all this stuff like that. And so I was like, well, have you, try to set out intent, because she had like 5 or 6 other kids. I said, and then she was a single mom, so that is a lot. Try to set out and carve out intentional time with your child. And if you do that, then you may see a different result. And I think that's important. All relationships, you have to cultivate. You have to grow. You have to develop. It's just not me and my boo. But you do have to set intentional time with your child, with your teenager. Because if not...
I feel like it would also be good, especially if it's something that they like to do as well. Then it would also feel like you're supporting them. And a lot of kids, I feel like they don't know what they want to do because they think that their parents not supporting with that decision. And so they feel like they've got to make a new one and they've got to try something else until their parents shows more support. And so they're just like stuck in this place that like, well, I want to do this, but my parent, I don't think really supports it. And so I'm not going to.
Yeah. I like that. And you said something real crucial. You said, I don't think my parent would support it. So parents that still show you that, hey, my kid still wants to please me. They still want my opinion. They still want to involve me. But if I'm not showing the support that they're needing, then they are going to, find it somewhere else, or they are going to withdraw. And I think certain things do need support. Again, that's one of those things, you and a parent have to talk about, because it's certain things, I'm not fit to support stuff that's just uncitizen-like, you know what I'm saying? But certain things, like if my child want to be in dance, all right, I'm going to try my best to support that. And I put you in dance classes. Not only do I put you in dance classes, but I try my best to show up to those like dance classes.
Dance recitals.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've seen that a lot. When I was in high school, I played basketball, and my mom didn't come to a lot of my games, and it did hurt. At first I was like, it's not going to affect me, but it did hurt because it was something that I love.
Especially when a teammate has like their whole family there. Your mom's there, their dad's there, their grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle. And then you just have nobody there for you. Like, it hurts. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. I often say this, and we're getting ready to go to a commercial break. I often say this in my program, the talk that I have with our nonprofit Generation Elevate. I often tell parents this, that the parental relationship, you and your child's relationship, however that is actually the foundation for how they will view other relationships. And so it's important that you as a parent try your best to model a healthy relationship and a healthy
I
lifestyle.
definitely want to expand on that when we get back.
A healthy,
because I've got an opinion on that.
Yeah, a healthy relationship and a healthy lifestyle so your child can see. Now, don't get me wrong, because I've had parents, my child 55, you know, I did everything I could and they still acting a fool. It becomes a certain point that your child gets that they are responsible for. Well, when they 12 years old, they're really responsible for their actions, but we're not going to get into all of that now. But, you know, some parents put it on themselves as to, oh, my kid, I did everything I could and they still turned out bad. I had 3 different kids in the household and one of them just turned out different than the other one. And, you know, I know that's a hard place to be, but sometimes as parents, you know, you can't beat yourself up when a child has made the decision, and especially if you led the best way you know how, and you did the best that you could. So I know you said you wanted to say something on the.
I wanted to expand on the relationship part,
Mm-hmm.
because like, if you and your parent don't have a good relationship, and then especially like if you're dating someone and they're abusive, you're like, well, it's not abuse. Like my parent used to treat me like this,
Mm-hmm.
or like, it's less abusive than how your parent treated you, but it still is abusive.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true. That's true, because we're always, whether your parents are around or they abandoned you or whatever the case may be, we always want that support and love from our parents. I don't care who you are. If your parents have abandoned you and you feel like they hate you, they've hurt you in such a detrimental way, and you're like, hey, I can't forgive them, I don't care about my parents, there's still a part in you that's like, hey, I wish things were different, or if an opportunity came, I want to fix that, because it's just innately in us to those that, I mean, you know, when you're abandoned by mama and daddy, that's a deep hurt,
right?
You know, or when they, not only if they're abandoning you or if they treat you horrible, like you the scum of the earth, like you didn't come from them, you know, like your mama didn't give birth
then
to
it's
you,
like,
or your dad.
Why am I here if my own family doesn't want me?
Exactly. I think that's one of the most, and I've never experienced that, thank God, but I think that's one of the most, I can't even imagine that type of hurt. I think that parental hurt like that, and then a child hurt. So when your child just, like if your parents abandon you and then you have a parent that's like, I'm doing everything for my kid, I'm being a good parent, but they still treat me like trash. I think those are the 2 types of deep hurts that's like top of the list. Of course, we have hurts from other relationships and people, but that parental and child hurt, that is a different type of hurt.
One parent and not the other,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like one parent doesn't like you and one parent like abandoned you and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, well, why am I still not good enough for this one?
Yeah.
Especially like if they had if you have like other siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and they like your sibling like way better, and like it's like, well, what am I doing wrong? They want them but not me.
Yeah. And it's easy to, and I actually have family members that are like that, where, you know, the oldest, hey, you live with your grandparents, and then you have 25 other kids behind me, and you keep all of them, and I'm the only one you didn't keep. And so that, you know, it is the reality. And so, but we're gonna go ahead and go to a break. I think this is a really needed conversation. And like I tell parents all the time, I don't care if your kids are acting a butthole, they need their parents. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care. They still want you to kiss them on the cheek, hug them. They may be like, get off me and stuff like that, because I was like that. But
the second it's gone, they gonna miss
you. Yeah,
it.
exactly. We want that. We want our parents. We want to please our parents, and so parents. I believe in, you got to provide for your kids, and I know sometimes, especially in this economy, child, you got to work 10 jobs to make ends meet. But I also know that it is important to also take intentional time to invest in that relationship, because before you know it, your 5-year-old is now going to be 18 years old, and you're going to be like, where did the time go? Because you invested your money, which they do need. You do need that, yes.
Yeah.
Because they got to eat and stuff. But when it's all said and done, students, or us kind of students, I'm in the academic world, but kids, teenagers, they're going to remember, dang, how did my mom or my daddy show up for me? Like, I had everything I needed. I'm grateful. but how did they show up for me? And that's so important. So parents, I want to challenge you to carve out that intentional time, even this weekend, even the fair is coming up. Hey, I'm just using your name for example. Hey, Annabelle, let's just me and you, let's go get cotton candy. Or what is something you like to do? You may hate what your kid may want to skate. You may be out of shape and can't skate, but I guarantee you put them skates on, they gonna laugh and they probably gonna talk about you, but they will appreciate, because one thing they gonna remember, they not gonna remember, oh, mama paid $500 for the light bill. They gonna remember, I remember that one time my mom put on some skates and she know good and well she couldn't skate, but she did it. I promise that's what they gonna remember. So y'all stay tuned, and we'll come back with a closing. I'll turn this thing off. Oh, yeah.